Hi, it's Kara, and today I'm going to be doing my October wrap-up. This month I didn't read as much as I hoped I would read. I remember doing my TBR and being very ambitious. I didn't get as much read as I wanted to. It kind of just was a middle of exams were on, so half of me was reading all the time, but then I had like half a day where I needed to be studying. I read some really long books, like two 800,000 page books, which takes up a lot of time. And then I had moving and some 21st, and it was just a little bit hectic. So, all in all, I read 7 things, one of which is a short story. And let's get started. So first off, I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is a science fiction, futuristic, post-apocalyptic kind. Not really post-apocalyptic. That's the smallest part of this story. Technically it's a young adult, I think, but it borders on young adult. This follows, what's his name? Wade, who is super into this game, as is everyone. It's one big, long, huge MMORPG, and everyone is on it. Like, everyone logs into this game all the time to kind of get out of the dodgy reality they're in. And this whole thing was made by a guy who then dies and leaves his whole inheritance to anyone who can solve the first person who can solve his puzzle that he's got going. And so this is about Wade's adventures in trying to solve the puzzle. And it's dramatic and full of 80s references? 70s references? 80s. And it's just so good. This is normally not my kind of thing, but I really, really enjoyed it. Just so good. I can't remember what I rated it. 4.5, 5 stars, I think. There were times when it was a bit slow. I didn't particularly like Wade as a character. There is flies here. I'm very annoyed. Stop buzzing around me. But I really enjoyed it overall. This was very good. Yes. Then I read The Invasion of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the sequel to The Queen of the Tearling. These are so good. And this one was definitely better than the first. And I rated the first 5 stars. They are relatively slow paced. This one picked up a bit more than the first one. And they're set in a supreme future regressed world. And this book kind of explained that a bit better, which was probably one of the faults of the first one, in that there was hardly any backstory, so it was a bit hard to figure out what was going on, but it wasn't that important. You were just kind of hinted at it, and it was really interesting, whereas in this one, the past becomes a key problem, and you're split between a main character, Kelsey, and then a second character, what's her name? I can't remember. I can't remember her name. What is it? I'm going to find it. Lily. And Lily is living in the world before it becomes regressed, when it's in its apocalyptic cray day. And that was super interesting. Like, I loved seeing how the world became what it is in this series. And Kelsey is a really interesting main character because you don't like her particularly. She's young and headstrong and a little bit brash. Is that the right word? And I'm always like, you could have thought that decision through a lot more than you did. But it makes it seem really real. Like, she's a ruler in a kingdom where things aren't going her way, and she's young and she doesn't really know what to do, and this is so good. Read it. It is really, really good. If you haven't picked up the first one, go pick it up. It's amazing. Go do it. And just push through the slowness. It's just slow paced. Just push through. Push through. Then I read 2 fanfiction, which is a bit weird for me to be talking about here. I do kind of read fanfiction sometimes, but I'm often reading short stuff. This month I read 2 huge fanfiction, like 800 page. They've been bound, but I didn't read them in a bound version. They're like 1,000 page, 800,000 page beasts of fanfiction. And these are called Grey and All the Other Ghosts is the first one, and Grey is the sequel, by a girl on LiveJournal called Rainjoy. They're Glee fanfiction, but like totally AU. Like, if you're watching this video, you don't need to be into Glee to get it, because they're totally not set in the same world at all. It follows Kurt and Blaine, as Kurt is a superhero and Blaine is his biggest fan, but it's way more intense than that, and it's essentially a roller coaster ride of emotions. I gave both of them 4.55 stars. I think the second one a 5 and the first one a 4.5, but leaning towards a 4. Mainly because the first one was a little bit more episodic in the form of, like, it was fan fiction, it was being published chapter by chapter, so it was a little bit like we'd get to the end of the chapter and one little plot had been resolved and we introduced a second. It was very, like, roll on like that, but that's part of the form. But that kind of detracted when I'm reading it in, like, 3 days straight. Essentially, I'm talking about these primarily because they were that big. I wanted them to count to my Goodreads goal, and count to my Goodreads goal they did. But if you are even vaguely interested, it's amazing. Also, there's a graphic novel being produced by a bunch of fandom artists, and I'll link down below. Amazing. So dark, so gritty, feels galore. If you're interested, talk to me about it down below. Then I read Born to Endless Night, which is the ninth Shadowhunter Academy novella. This follows Magnus and Simon this time, which is great, as Simon finds a warlock baby outside the doorstep of the academy and gives it to Magnus and Alec. And I just... cute. 5 stars, adorable. Need I say more? Then I read Pennyroyal Academy by M.A. Larson. This is a middle grade children's adventure story following a girl who doesn't really know where she came from, but she's joining this Pennyroyal Academy where princesses and knights are trained to slay dragons and witches. I enjoyed this overall. I think I gave it a 3 stars, 3.5. It was enjoyable, but I also think it would have worked much better as a children's cartoon, which kind of explains, like, the author worked on My Little Pony, I think, and a couple of other stuff, and I feel like it would have worked much better as that kind of thing. The plot twists weren't pulled off particularly well. Like, they'd be very sudden, and I wouldn't quite get that they'd happened, and then I'd be like, oh, hang on, that was a plot twist, which shouldn't happen. But overall, the story was really engaging, and I was very interested in what was happening, and the world was really interesting. So I'm still tossing up whether I'll look into finishing this series as more come out, but overall, okay. And then finally, this month, I read Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma. This is a standalone young adult, new adult, like older readers. It says not suitable for younger readers, and that's very true. Story following a brother and sister in a romantic relationship, which is good reason why it's for older readers. This is so heartbreaking, people. Like, I actually cried. Unlike half crying, I actually, like, was welling up, but I don't think I actually shed tears. I kept them in successfully, but I wanted to roll up in a ball and cry. It had a weird build where from a third of the way through, I was like, when's this gonna flip? When am I gonna want to cry? Because I was like, they're so adorable. This is great. I love it. Yeah, like, okay, it's incest, but they really work together. Okay. And then bam. And plot twist and tears. So be prepared going into this for plot twist and tears, but otherwise it was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Yeah. I am also currently reading Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, but I'll talk about this more in my November wrap-up because obviously I have not finished it. So these are the books that I read in the month of October. I wish I'd read more, but that's how it goes, I guess. Let me know if you've read any of these. Comment down below. Talk to me about them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with my November TBR, which should be coming up very ASAP. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.